There is a quiet thief that can live inside your body for years without you even noticing. It doesn't cause a sudden pain. It doesn't shout. It just slowly takes away your strength, your energy, and in time, even your independence. That thief is kidney disease. What makes it even more dangerous is that your kidneys can lose nearly 90% of their function before you feel anything at all. And while that sounds frightening, there's an even more surprising twist. Many of the foods we place on our plates every single day, foods we often believe are healthy or harmless, can secretly strain and damage these vital organs. I'm Dr. Brian, and welcome to Channel Vital Science for Seniors. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on 13 everyday foods that could be quietly hurting your kidneys, and I'll show you how simple swaps can protect your health and future. When most people think of oranges, they think of sunshine and appeal, bright, refreshing, loaded with vitamin C. I remember a patient of mine, Margaret, who drank a tall glass of orange juice every morning, believing it was her secret weapon for staying strong. But Margaret also had early kidney disease, and what she didn't realize was that her daily glass was giving her kidneys more work than they could handle. You see, oranges are packed with potassium. For healthy kidneys, that's no problem. Potassium keeps your muscles and nerves firing smoothly. But when kidney function is reduced, excess potassium lingers in the blood, like too many guests crowding into a small living room. This can cause dangerous heart rhythms and put tremendous strain on the kidneys. Studies, including one from the American Journal of Kidney Diseases, show that high potassium diets can accelerate kidney decline. The good news is Margaret found joy in apples and grapes instead, and her numbers improved. Small swaps really can protect kidney health. There's a certain comfort many people feel in cracking open a cold cola, the fizz, the sweetness, the little rush of pleasure. But what sits inside that can is not so comforting to your kidneys. I recall James, a retired bus driver, who loved his evening cola. He wasn't worried about sugar or calories. He thought one soda a day was harmless. Yet his lab work showed his creatinine creeping up, a sign his kidneys were under stress. The hidden culprit? Phosphorus additives. These are not the natural phosphorus found in beans or nuts, but synthetic versions that the body absorbs far more quickly, overwhelming kidneys that are already vulnerable. When phosphorus levels spike, it can pull calcium out of your bones and speed up kidney damage. Research in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition links regular soda intake to faster progression of kidney disease. When James swapped cola for sparkling water with lemon slices, his blood work steadied. A simple change gave his kidneys space to breathe again. Spinach has long been praised as the king of leafy greens, even celebrated in cartoons as the secret to instant strength. And it's true, spinach is packed with vitamins and minerals. But what's healthy in one context can become harmful in another. I once cared for Helen, a 72-year-old who loved making spinach smoothies each morning. She was shocked when she developed kidney stones, despite never touching junk food. The reason lay in spinach's oxalates, natural compounds that bind to calcium and form crystals. In a healthy body, these usually pass without trouble. But in those with vulnerable kidneys, those crystals can grow into stones that block and damage delicate tissue. Imagine tiny shards of glass scratching at a filter. That's what high oxalate foods can do. Studies confirm that spinach is one of the top contributors to calcium oxalate stones. The relief for Helen came when she discovered kale and bok choy. She still enjoyed her green smoothies, but her kidneys no longer paid the painful price. Avocados have become the darling of modern health trends. Creamy, versatile, and often hailed as a superfood. But for kidneys already under strain, this so-called superfood can quietly turn into a superburden. I think of Robert, a 68-year-old grandfather who prided himself on his heart-healthy avocado toast each morning. His cholesterol looked great, but his potassium levels were climbing higher than safe. Avocados are unusually rich in potassium, and when kidneys can't clear that excess, it stays in the bloodstream, leading to hyperkalemia. That word might sound abstract, but its effects are anything but irregular heartbeats, muscle weakness, even sudden cardiac arrest in severe cases. Robert was frightened when I explained that his morning habit could put him in the hospital. But we found alternatives he enjoyed, a drizzle of olive oil or flaxseed oil on whole grain bread. he still felt indulgent, but without the silent threat to his kidneys. Sometimes protecting your health is less about giving up and more about choosing differently. Few foods feel as universal as the tomato. Sliced on sandwiches, stewed into sauces, or blended into a comforting bowl of soup. For many of my patients, it's hard to imagine cooking without it. That was true for Clara, a 74-year-old who adored her pasta dinners. Yet despite her efforts to eat Mediterranean healthy, her blood pressure crept higher and her kidney labs showed rising strain. Tomatoes themselves are naturally high in potassium, but the real danger lurked in the jarred sauces and canned soups she relied on. These processed tomato products are double trouble. They bring both potassium and heavy loads of sodium. Too much sodium forces the body to hold on to water, raising blood pressure and making the kidneys work overtime. It's like asking an already tired pump to handle twice the volume. Clara began using fresh herbs, garlic, and a splash of lemon to bring zest to her dishes. Her meals still tasted vibrant, and her kidneys finally got the rest they needed. Convenience has its price, and nowhere is this clearer than in the world of canned foods. I remember Peter, a widower in his 70s, who found it easier to open a can of soup or beans than cook from scratch. It seemed sensible, even thrifty. But over time, his ankles began to swell, and his blood pressure crept into dangerous territory. The hidden villain was sodium, packed into canned goods as a preservative to keep them shelf-stable for months or even years. For someone with healthy kidneys, the extra salt can still be a burden. But for weakened kidneys, it's like asking a sponge already soaked with water to absorb more. They simply can't keep up, and fluid builds in the body, straining the heart as well as the kidneys. Peter was surprised to learn that rinsing canned beans under cold water could wash away nearly half their sodium. Eventually, he started buying frozen vegetables, finding they tasted fresher and gave him peace of mind. His kidneys thanked him with steadier lab numbers. Whole wheat bread has long carried the badge of being the healthier choice, and for most people it is. But for those managing kidney disease, the story changes. I think of Dolores, a retired teacher who faithfully bought whole wheat loaves, certain she was making the smart choice for her heart. Her surprise came when her phosphorus and potassium levels began climbing on her blood tests. Whole grains, while nourishing, contain higher amounts of these two minerals. For kidneys struggling to filter, this buildup becomes a hidden weight. Imagine a strainer clogged with too many particles. The water can't pass through smoothly, and pressure builds. That's what happens inside the body. Dolores felt betrayed by the very food she thought was helping her. But relief came when she discovered softer white bread and specially labeled low-phosphorus options at her market. She still enjoyed her morning toast, but now it no longer added stress to her kidneys. Sometimes health is about tailoring, not following trends blindly. Brown rice carries an image of wholesomeness. Nutty, hearty, often praised by nutritionists for its fiber and vitamins. But for kidneys, the picture isn't quite so rosy. I recall Henry, a 70-year-old who switched from white rice to brown after hearing it was better for diabetes. His blood sugars did improve, but his kidney numbers worsened. Brown rice, unlike white, retains its outer bran layer, which is rich in phosphorus and potassium. These minerals are essential in moderation, but when kidneys falter, they accumulate, disturbing the body's delicate balance. Too much phosphorus pulls calcium from the bones, leaving them weak while potassium can overload the heart. Henry felt confused. How could a healthy food betray him? The answer wasn't to abandon rice, but to choose more wisely. White rice, though less celebrated, is actually gentler on kidneys. He even grew to enjoy couscous as a change of pace. With these swaps, Henry protected both his kidneys and his confidence in eating well. Bananas are often seen as the perfect snack. Portable, sweet, and loaded with quick energy. For many, they symbolize simplicity and health. But in the kidneys world, bananas can pose a hidden challenge. I think of Linda, a 66-year-old who faithfully ate a banana with her breakfast oatmeal every day. She was shocked when her doctor explained her potassium levels were too high, a red flag for her kidneys and heart. You see, bananas are among the richest fruits in potassium. For healthy kidneys, this mineral keeps the heart beating steadily. But when kidneys slow down, potassium builds up in the blood, and that steady rhythm can turn into dangerous, irregular beats. It's like adding too much weight to a fragile bridge. At some point, it gives way. Linda didn't want to lose her morning ritual, but she found comfort in swapping bananas for blueberries and apples. She still enjoyed sweetness at breakfast, but now without silently overloading her kidneys. Milk has always carried the image of strength. We've all heard milk builds strong bones. For many, it feels like the foundation of a healthy diet. But for kidneys under stress, dairy can tip the scales in the wrong direction. I remember Joseph, a retired engineer, who loved pouring whole milk over his cereal every morning. His lab tests began showing high phosphorus and potassium, and his creatinine edged upward. Dairy is rich in these minerals, as well as protein, which adds even more work for struggling kidneys. Think of the kidneys like a small factory that never closes. Every extra shipment of raw material means more strain on tired workers. Over time, this imbalance can weaken bones and overwork the heart. Joseph was hesitant to give up his milk, but when he tried almond milk, he was pleasantly surprised by its flavor. His numbers improved, and he felt reassured that even small adjustments could protect his kidneys without robbing him of daily comforts. Bacon sizzling in a pan, a hot dog at a summer picnic, slices of deli meat in a sandwich. These are flavors many of us grew up with, tied to comfort and tradition. Yet for kidneys, processed meats can be a slow and heavy burden. I recall Samuel, a 75-year-old veteran, who relied on packaged meats for easy meals after his wife passed away. Over time, his blood pressure spiked and his phosphorus levels climbed. The problem lies in the sodium and phosphorus additives used to preserve flavor and extend shelf life. Unlike natural phosphorus in beans or grains, these additives are absorbed almost completely, flooding the bloodstream and forcing weak kidneys to work overtime. It's like filling a cracked bucket with water. It spills faster than it can hold. Samuel worried he'd lose all the foods he enjoyed, but he found new satisfaction grilling fresh chicken with herbs. It gave him flavor, nourishment, and most importantly, peace of mind that his kidneys weren't paying the price. There's something about the tang of a pickle or the briny bite of an olive that can liven up a meal. For many, it's a taste tied to family traditions. Jars of pickles at picnics, olives at holiday tables, but behind that sharp flavor lies an ocean of salt. I remember Maria, 71, who proudly served her homemade pickles to her grandchildren. She didn't realize that the brine she soaked them in was saturating her kidneys with sodium. High sodium forces the body to hold on to fluid, swelling ankles, raising blood pressure, and making the kidneys strain as though pumping against a clogged pipe. Over years, this stress can hasten kidney decline. Maria was heartbroken at first, but when she learned to season her dishes with dill, parsley, and lemon juice, she discovered new flavors that were just as bright. Her blood pressure steadied, and she felt empowered knowing she could honor her health without losing the joy of taste. Potatoes are a comfort food across cultures. Mashed with butter, baked until fluffy, or crisped into golden fries. For many older adults, they bring back memories of family dinners and simpler times. But for the kidneys, potatoes are not so comforting. I think of Walter, a 69-year-old who grew up on hearty meat and potato meals. When his potassium levels spiked, he was bewildered. After all, he wasn't eating exotic foods, just his childhood staples. The truth is, both white and sweet potatoes are packed with potassium, and when kidneys can't filter it out, the excess lingers in the blood, raising the risk of hyperkalemia. That condition can disrupt the heartbeat, leaving patients vulnerable to sudden complications. Walter didn't want to give up potatoes entirely, and thankfully he didn't have to. By soaking peeled slices in water before cooking, he reduced their potassium load significantly. He still enjoyed his favorite dishes, but this small step allowed his kidneys to keep working without the crushing weight of overload. Your kidneys are small, but they carry the weight of your entire body's balance, filtering waste, guiding fluids, and keeping your heart steady. The foods we've explored today aren't villains for everyone, but for those with fragile kidneys, they can quietly tip the scales toward harm. The power is in your hands. Every small swap, every mindful choice is a gift to your future self. I want you to remember, it is never too late to protect your kidneys, your strength, and your independence. If this message spoke to you, share it and stay with us for more hope and healing.